For our next section, we start section 2.4, congruent supplements and complements. The objective of this section is to prove angles congruent by means of 4 new theorems. For our homework, we're going to end up working on page 79 to 81, 3 to 15, and 17 to 20. Now this again is going to end up being a 2-day section. So if we're not catching on day 1, relax, we got 2 days on this section. I've already kind of taken a little bit of difficulty into an account here. Alright, so we got 4 new theorems. Now, you're going to have to kind of bear with me. I'm trying something new here where I'm going to be able to write instead of typing stuff out. So if it comes out kind of sloppy the first time around, I'm really sorry. Here we go. So our first theorem is if angles are supplementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. Now, let's draw out that picture. So, let's say something that we're given here. Let's say we're given angle A. And let's say that for angle A, say it's 60 degrees. And let's say that we have angle B. If angle B was supplementary to angle A, what would it have to be? Well, it would have to be 120. So we have angle A is supplementary to angle B. Now, let's say that we had angle B was going to be supplementary to angle C. Well, what would that look like? Let's draw it out. Here's angle C. If C is supplementary to B, what would angle C have to be? Well, it would have to be 60 degrees. Now let's look at angle A and let's look at angle C. What do you notice about them? They have the same measure. So angle A would end up being congruent to angle C. Well, that wasn't too sloppy. Not perfect, but not too bad. Alright, here comes our second theorem. Our second theorem. If angles are supplementary to congruent angles, then they are congruent. Now let's draw out that picture. So it starts off here that we know that we have 2 congruent angles. So let's say that we have angle A is congruent to angle B. Let's just draw them out. So here's angle A, and let's say angle A is 50 degrees, which would also mean that angle B is going to be 50 degrees as well. Now, let's say that angle A is going to be supplementary to angle C. What does that mean angle C is going to be? Well, it means angle C is going to be 130 degrees. And let's also say angle B is supplementary to angle D. So what would angle D have to be? Well, if B is supplementary to D, that means that angle D right over here is going to also have to be 130 degrees. So let's look at those 2 angles once again. We see that we end up with the exact same measure, therefore they're going to be congruent to each other. Angle C would end up being congruent to angle D. Alright, we're up to our third theorem. So here we go. If angles are complementary to the same angle, then they are congruent. Didn't we just do that theorem? Almost. We did it with supplementary. So let's see what this picture is going to look like. So here we go. Let's draw this out. So let's say that we have angle A. And let's say for angle A is going to be 40 degrees. And let's say that we know that angle A is going to be complementary to angle B. What would that make angle B? Well, if they're complementary, angle B would be 50 degrees. Now, let's also say that angle B is complementary to angle C. What would that mean angle C is going to be? Well, if they're complementary to B, it means angle C is going to be 40 degrees as well. And again, let's look at C and let's look at A. They have the same measure. Therefore, we know that angle A is going to be congruent to angle C. Alright, so here's theorem number 4. For theorem number 4, if angles are complementary to congruent angles, then they are congruent. I think we kind of get the gist of how to draw this out. So I'll let you draw it out. Let's see if we end up with the exact same pictures. Alright, so here's what my picture looked like. I had angle A is complementary to angle B. So if A was 30, B would be 60. I also have that angle B is congruent to angle C. Therefore, if B is 60, so is C. And angle C is complementary to angle D. So if C is 60, then D would be 30. Therefore, by looking at our picture, angle A and angle D are both 30 degrees having the same measure. Therefore, angle A is congruent to angle D. Now, I included one of our little tricky symbols over here. I included our therefore symbol. In case you forget what that was, it's like the three-dotted triangle. Alright, so now we're going to try and prove why the first theorem works. We kind of went through it in our explanation, but let's see how our drawing conclusion stuff works. So we have angle A is supplementary to angle B. And angle C is supplementary to angle B. We want to prove angle A is congruent to angle C without using that theorem. So let's see what we got here. Let's start off writing our givens. So, for our givens, we got angle A is supplementary to angle B. For our reason, is given. We also have that angle C is supplementary, there we go, to angle B. Our reason is given. Now, what does it mean to be supplementary? Well, it means that when we take the two angles, when we sum them, they're going to equal 180 degrees. And for our reason is if two angles are supplementary, they sum to 180 degrees. Alright, here we go. That's kind of a long one to write. Going off of our second one, if we know that C is supplementary to B, then we know that when we sum angle C and angle B, they're also going to equal 180 degrees. Now, degrees symbols there. Instead of rewriting this line, let's just put down the same as number 3. It was the third step. Now, let's use a substitution property. Since we see that both of them are set equal to 180 degrees, let's set them equal to each other. So, here we go. We're going to have angle A plus angle B equal angle C plus angle B. And for our reason, substitution. So we can call that supp. Now, let's subtract angle B from both sides. That leaves us with angle A is equal to angle C. The reason is subtraction. Remember, subtraction, we need a t to go behind it. Now, that's pretty close to what we want. We want to prove congruency, and we're down all the way down to equal. So here we go. Why, when something is congruent, is it also going to be equal? Well, it's pretty easy here. So the two of these are going to be equal. Angle A is congruent to angle C. The reason is if two segments are equal in length, then they are congruent. Alright, what do we think about that one? So this is the proof for why it works. Now, something you should know is that all theorems have been proven so that they'll work in any case. Alright, so here we go. We're going to get into some more proofs here. So we know that angle T is complementary to angle A, and angle T is complementary to angle TIN. We're going to try and prove that angle A is congruent to angle TIN. Now, the way we're going to go about doing this is by using one of our theorems. So let's start off by making our t-chart. Now, you can either write out the whole word statement, or let's just start putting an S for statement and an R for reason. And let's take down our givens. So we have angle T is complementary to angle A, and that's given. We also have that angle T is complementary to angle TIN. That's also given. And what I notice here in both of these things is that angle T was both repeated. And they're both complementary to different angles. So what does that mean for us? Those other angles that we have are congruent to each other. So I know that angle A is going to be congruent to angle TIN. And do you remember what that theorem says? What that theorem says? It says that if two angles are complementary to the same angle, they are congruent. What do you think? Easy peasy, mac and cheesy? I hope so. Alright, for our next example, we have given diagram is shown, and we're going to try and prove that angle CKO is congruent to angle IKE. Well, let's go over those angles and see what we're looking at. angle CKO is going to be this angle right here. And we got angle IKE right here. And what do you notice about them? Well, besides the fact that they form an X, what I see is that angle CKO is supplementary with OKE. And I also see that angle IKE is also supplementary with angle OKE. So they're supplementary to the same angle. We're going to want to do that when we're going through our proof. So let's get started with that proof here. So let's start off making that T-chart. And of course, for our first line, we're going to have diagram as shown. And the reason is that that's given to us. Now, based on diagram as shown, what we have here is we only have straight angles. The reason why we can say that angle CKE is a straight angle is because it's assumed. Now, next we have our other straight angle. Angle IKO is also going to be a straight angle. And the reason, once again, is that it's assumed. Now, if we have two angles that form a straight angle, we have a property. That property says that anytime we have two angles that when combined or added form a straight angle, those two angles are supplementary. So here we go. We're going to say that angle CKO is supplementary to angle OKE. And here's our reason. If two angles form a straight angle, they are supplementary. Now, let's do the same thing the other way. So let's say angle IKE is supplementary, again, to angle OKE. Now, for our reason, we can say the same as number 4, because that was the step that we were on. Now, what I see here is I have two different angles that are supplementary to the exact same angle. And one of our theorems said is that if we have that happening, we can say that angle CKO is going to be congruent to angle IKE. Do you remember what that theorem said? It said if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, they are congruent. What do you think? You catching on? I hope so. Alright, so here we go. We're given that MA is perpendicular to AD, and that ND is perpendicular to DA. We also know that angle MAO is congruent to angle NDO, and what we're going to try and prove is that angle OAD is congruent to angle ODA. Wow, we've got a lot to look at here. Now, those of you that are visual, again, I'm going to encourage you to draw out that picture. Maybe grab out some markers. Let's rainbow bright this thing. Now, things that work together I'm going to have is the same color. So here we go. We have that MA is perpendicular to AD. We also have ND is perpendicular to DA. Now, the next one I'm going to end up with dots. So we have angle MAO is congruent to angle NDO. Now, let's look at the angles we're going to try and prove congruent to each other. I'm going to double dot those. We have angle OAD is going to be congruent to angle ODA. Now, let's kind of come up with a game plan here. We know perpendicularity means right angles. Right angles means complementary. And what I see here is I have a set of complementary angles here. One of the two are already congruent. Down here, again, right angles, therefore complementary. One of the two is already congruent to the other. Now, can you think of a theorem that would apply here? I most certainly can. So let's press pause. Let's apply some methods that we've already seen, and let's see what we can come up with. Alright, so let's see if your proof kind of matches mine. Now, the one thing that I do want to note right here, something that I did here, is I combined all my givens into one step, separating each given by a comma and writing given only once. If you want to do that, that's completely acceptable. Now, like we talked about in our game plan, perpendicularity implies that we're going to have right angles. So we have angle MAD is a right angle. The reason is if two segments are perpendicular, they form a right angle. And also, angle NDA is a right angle. For the same reason, we had perpendicularity, therefore we have right angles. So, after that, we're going to talk about complementary angles. We have angle MAO is complementary to angle OAD. For a reason, well, what happened before? We got right angles. What does that mean? They're going to be complementary. If two angles form a right angle, they are complementary. We can say the same thing for angle NDO, which is complementary with angle NDO. Excuse me, that was supposed to be angle ODA. We should have the same reason, as if two angles form a right angle, and they're going to be complementary. Last but not least, those two angles here are going to be congruent to each other. The reason, both of them are complements. They're complements of angles that were already set congruent to each other. And so we had that theorem that said if two angles are complementary to congruent angles, which we have, all of those restrictions are there, then those angles are going to be congruent to each other. Now, we're going to be practicing working on this. It's going to be a 2-day section, so don't quite freak out yet. We got a little bit of time to spend on this so we can get used to this proofwriting. Alright, please keep in mind that this is the last section before our homework quiz. Our quiz for section 2.1 through 2.4 is going to be next Wednesday. So let's make sure we got this stuff down pretty solid before that homework quiz and before we actually take our content quiz come Wednesday. Hope you like my picture. He's sad about it too.